Hi, Dave here, and today we're going to check out the work of JinWoo Song. He's an artist based in Incheon, South Korea. Not a lot of pieces in his portfolio, ArtStation portfolio, however, they're enough to kind of view and analyze. And yeah, so let's get started. So let's just see the excuse me. So this is his ArtStation portfolio. Again, not much in his portfolio. He does have a decent following, 11k. He does have an Instagram and a Twitter as well. So I'll be linking all of those links in the description below. So no worries. He does have a rather clean style. If you go back, heavily focused on babes and character design. That's just his thing. And he likes to leave the background just white. So it's more about the design. And the rendering is actually super simple. It's not like, if you zoom in on his work, there's not a lot of texture involved. It does seem or is smooth for the most part. Not a lot of grit. It isn't as sharp. I will say though, it is quite rendered. However, if you do zoom in, you can see it's not super tight. Like say if you check out the work of Sakimi-chan, her artwork is a bit too refined for me. I mean, it looks amazing and like bombshell types of artwork. However, it's too rendered for me, and it's not a bad thing. However, if you check out JinWoo Song's paintings or renderings, if you zoom in, it does look more natural, and I do like it. And if you zoom out, it does look rather tight, so that's a good thing. And you can tell by the brushstrokes, he limits himself to just I'm guessing, just a round brush for the most part. Again, character design, not a lot of textures. He does do a lot of pencil sketches, so I believe, this is just my guess, I believe he has a very traditional kind of approach, or standard approach, where you have the line work first, and then you paint it in grayscale, kind of like this one, and then he'll do the kind of like a color overlay. So it is a very standard approach, but the results are fantastic. Mostly sci-fi pieces, I think, if you go back to his portfolio. More sci-fi than fantasy for the most part. I think these are more like fan art for the Overwatch game, I believe. And let's go back. Where is it? Oh, I skipped it. So if you zoom in this piece, he did focus more on the grayscale. The only thing that has color is the background and this light green, teal. Is it teal? Accent color. If you focus on the rendering, there's hardly any texture. It's super smooth, and he's pretty good with the skin and the folds. I think he does most of the work in the pencil phases, kind of like this one. Like his draftsmanship skills are on point, and I believe he did this on paper and then scanned it in Photoshop, or scanned it and then brought it over to Photoshop to just add this grayscale filler. And you'll notice in the face, Korean artists have a way of painting or drawing the face. Like it's kind of anime-ish. It's definitely Eastern, but they have like the same face. It's kind of racist, but and if you notice, like even for like Chinese artists, like the East Asian types of folks, like the Chinese, the Koreans, and the Japanese, they have their own way of doing faces. It's essentially a stereotype at this point, just because I'm not sure how it kind of happened, but it's pretty obvious. It's kind of like if you look at comics, Western comics, they have the same ideal kind of look. Nowadays in the West, there is this big push for like a simplified styles, but I don't really like it. The styles that I think of that really kind of represent the West is the just think of all the DC animated films. To me, that's like the top best quality Western types of content that I actually do enjoy and kind of heal my soul visually. But yeah, so it is interesting to see the style. So again, pencil sketch. Maybe a rough sketch was done, I'm guessing, in the beginning, because this is too good to be done from the start. But this is a decently designed concept. It's essentially done. All you have to do is add the grayscale rendering plus the colors if you want to, and maybe a background if need be. And a lot of his works can be turned into stickers, so there is this multiplying factor when you're doing art. You can make a podcast, you can make a course as you do your work. You can sell stickers or prints. Like there's so much you can do, and for JinWoo Song, I think he will do well if he does prints for stickers or any kind of merchandise types of products. Just because the work in the end, like his final painted rendered results, they look good. Like they feel like they're meant to be on paper. So here we have a fox chick or a dog chick. I'm guessing it's more fox. Look at that hair. Beautiful. Again, sci-fi concept. She's so hot. Game nasai. Here we have the dragon. So he's kind of into dragons, horned babes, and cats or dogs. Very, very anime. Anime influenced. Now this one looks like the chick in there's this new anime coming out. It's Chainsaw Man, I believe. I don't really read manga, but yeah. And the chick looks hot, so hey. Anyway, let's move on. So here we have another pencil sketch. I love the hair, or not. It's not hair. It's some kind of belt. So she does have this. It's a thicker sword. It's not necessarily a katana. Oh, it kind of reminds me, like this scar in the face reminds me of that character in Jujutsu Kaisen, the Mahito guy. I mean, he's a bad dude, but I've seen like a gender blends fan art of his character. They essentially paint the girl version of Mr. Mahito, and she looks pretty hot. So I don't know. I'm having the same kind of vibes here. Here we have a guy, a bulky Brad with a big chainsaw. Lots of bones in this design, in the coat, in the arm, even in the shoulder armor decoration. Even here in his packets of stuff, lots of bones. And obviously the horns do add a bit of that demonic kind of badass effect. And the chainsaw is rather big. The handle though is rather small. I think it ought to be slightly thicker because he does have big hands. Nice abs. Oof, this guy is ripped. I need to work out. If you zoom in, it's a pencil sketch that he scanned in. And he did a basic grayscale flat for the skin and everything else in Photoshop. Here we have a shark lady. Kind of looks like Harley Quinn. Like the attitude of the face, the big smile, the jolly kind of vibes, and the net does remind me a bit of Harley Quinn. Yahtzee! And it's pretty good with the what's this called? The braiding of the hair. He did it with the rope part here with this chick, as you can see. Nice feet. Oh, here we have three babes, goddesses, queens. And again, we can still see the ponytail with the braids, lots of horns, wings. And again, look at the anatomy of the face. It does have that. Think of the work of Kim Jung-gi. I think he is obviously one of the most famous Korean artists. And Miss, what's her name? Miss Jisoo. She does a lot of black and white sketches of babes. And I think she does a lot of commissions. She has a YouTube channel as well. They have the same kind of proportions, so it kind of makes sense. He is Korean, so that's kind of the dominant. Ah, damn! Look at this part right here. Wow, this girl is tight. Think of all the track girls you've seen. They tend to have the most thickest butts. Because, you know, it's the sport demands it. Ooh. So dragons, horns. Here we have some kind of butterfly wings. Oh, she has a choker. Damn. But again, it's a pencil sketch. Look at how good it looks from this view. I mean, it makes sense because there are three babes. But without having color, without having... even without it being rendered per se, just because it's done well in this pencil sketch stage, it's enough. Even the hands, look at the folds over here. Even the way this fat kind of happens when you extend your elbow, wow. And it's kind of hard adding detail to human figures, just because we have flesh. And if you add too many lines, it can make you look somewhat old and wrinkly. So you have to be a bit careful when adding lines. When you're painting them, it doesn't really matter. But if you're doing line work, you have to be extra careful. Look at the folds of this skin. It really shows you which form is closer to you and which is further away from you. Even look at the wrinkles, the pinching wrinkles of this coat or shirt. Wow. When it comes to anime types of art, I do like the way they do their folds and the skin. And there's so much like variation of... it's so alive. I haven't seen an anime or manga kind of thing. Well, manga is black and white, but the anime types of artwork where it's... I don't see boring pieces, essentially. And I want some of that in my own work. So anyway, let's move on. We have even more babes. This time we do have a nice Chad. Ooh, look at those muscles.
Ooh.
Very, very interesting anatomy. Reminds me a bit of Pablo Ochida. I haven't done an art review of his work, but he does a lot of anatomy studies on the side. Oh, look at those feet. Damn.
Ooh.
These were done on paper, in pencil, and then he just brought it over to Photoshop. The knees look amazing here. Look at this bit of the quads kind of are in front slightly of the actual knee bone. Amazing. Look at how the abs don't even have to be that represented, but it's in like you have enough lines to suggest that she is somewhat lean and fit. Even the way the clavicles are done, wow. The foreshortening of this leg, perfecto. The hands even look dynamic. You can see this in comics as well. Like even their hand poses have story, or they're pretty interesting to look at. The feet though, they're kind of my thing. So anyway, nice ring. She has a broken horn. Even the fat here in the armpit, it looks so natural. This guy has a big ass tricep. And look at those forearms. Damn. Bulky. The lines, overlapping lines for this hand, because it's kind of foreshortened. Well, it's kind of squished, I guess. Yeah, it is foreshortened. But it's going away from you. Like the elbow is the thing that's closest to you. So seeing more lines in this area makes sense. And it actually feels like her hand is on her butt. Even the butt looks natural. Like this part of the leg is obviously extended, so there's a bit more flab, right? It's kind of, oh, that's why it's kind of sharp in the bottom. If you zoom out, they're both being squished because she's tiptoeing herself. And she has some kind of bone wing in the back of her back. Yeah. And she's showing some kind of gum. Look at the way the pinky was done. Damn. Moving on, Dave. Here we have another piece. Just one sketch. We have a nice lion in the background. Oh, we can't zoom in. I mean, we can, but it's not going to be as good. Anyway, she has a couple of tails. I'm not sure what it's called. You'll see it in some animes where... Is it a mythical creature in Japan where you have like... it's kind of like a wolf fox character that has multiple tails. I'm not sure where that's from, but it kind of has the same vibes, I guess, with this piece. Look at those hands. They're so pretty. Very, very interesting. And the face. Nice. Hopefully I won't get banned for this video because it is like an art piece, so it's not that lewd. Oh shit, this one does remind me a bit of 02, right? And I've noticed if you go back, it's not so common here because the line weights are rather the same. You can see it slightly, but it's even more prominent in this piece. The thick border lines, they're very Art Nouveau-ish. If you've seen any Art Nouveau types of artwork, they do tend to add or bolden the lines in the exterior of the figure. Check out the works of Adam Hughes. He's a comic artist, and he does the same thing with his work. He is influenced by that kind of approach. And yeah. Now this one was done digitally, you can tell. And from this view, he pretty much solved everything from this stage. All he has to do is render it in grayscale, and then maybe if he wants to add some color. Reminds me of another artist. I think he's also a Korean artist. They have the same or a similar kind of approach, and he does comics as well, like for Batman and Iron Man. I'm not sure, but I think he does sometimes. He does do Marvel work, I think. Not sure. Same thing goes for this chick. Look at the bolded lines in the edges of the whole character. And I think that's why it helps, or it makes his work feel like they could be great stickers, because it actually looks like an actual sticker. He did play around with the background a bit, just adding a few elements here and there, and I like how the boobs are actually going with the figure, because she's like jumping or falling down, so it's not like a static spherical thing. Again, horn chicks, awesome. Now here we have an example of his grayscale rendering. The only thing that's in color is this round thing to help kind of make the character pop out, but you can still see that boldened line throughout the entire character. The way the hair was done, wow. It's not as simplified. It's a bit more deliberate. The rendering of the face, it is soft, semi-realistic. You can see a lot of subtle variations in terms of values, or there's a gradual gradient of value, because obviously it's a softer form, the face, so it's going to have a softer or less sharp value shifts. I love the nose. It's so tight. Like the edge control of the nose is amazing. Look at those abs. Oof. She is fit. By the way, that's not normal. It's okay to have folds. It's pretty normal. But obviously, in art, you can imagine and get wild. And you'll notice there's hardly any what? Texture. Most of his work is smooth. I mean, it makes sense. He does characters, people, females, and a lot of his mechanical stuff, they're not really meant to be... They're more fashionable. I mean, they look like they can do something, but they're more fashionable. So it doesn't make sense for it to be too rusty. Because if she's using some kind of broken up bits of armor, she's going to have to reflect that in herself as well. Because if her armor has scratches, some of her body parts will also have some kind of scar or scratches. So I'm guessing they're well maintained. Or they live in some high class society, whatever. But yeah, look, if you zoom in on the actual mechanical parts, it's well defined, but it's not that clean. I mean, it's pretty clean, but it's not that clean. If you zoom in, if you zoom out, it looks perfect. And again, at this point or at this view, it looks like a sticker. So that's good. So I think it works with Super Annie. I believe this is some kind of Korean art group. That's my guess. I only know Super Annie through Kim Jung-gi and Miss Jisoo. But I believe they are some kind of art group in Korea. Here we have some color. Oh, by the way, these are some of his older pieces, like 5 years ago, 3 to 5 years ago. Excuse me. And notice his style hasn't changed much. So it's pretty much done. It's nice to reach this point because once you're done in terms of skill, like there is a certain threshold. I mean, you can always learn new techniques, processes. However, eventually you will reach a point where you don't really need to think about your techniques too much. And I think this is going to be a great booster for your creativity. Just because the execution is no longer a problem. It's just habitual at that point. Like, you know what to do. Like, that's not the main issue. Your line work, your coloring process, your whole process isn't an issue at some point, eventually. And I'm kind of excited to reach that point. That specific threshold. I'm not sure when that will happen. But I'm sure it's going to be glorious. Here we have another babe. Rightfully so. Blue hair. Not a lot of texture. Look at those knees. Beautiful. It's foreshortened. The feet are simplified, but I do like how the toes are exposed. She kind of looks like some kind of dragon warrior, just because of the way the armor is done. I believe this is a Overwatch fan art. I'm not a gamer, but I think this is from the Overwatch world. Look at the smoothness of his piece. It's too clean. I mean, it's not bad, but you know, it's not exactly my cup of tea, but it looks amazing. Again, it could be a print or a sticker. So that's cool. Oh, here we have the Black Widow, I think her name is. Damn. She's so cute. Nice smile. Oh. However, even in this piece, if you zoom out, you can see that boldened line all throughout the entire figure and even in the gun and the hair. Very, very Art Nouveau-ish. Oh, her name is Widowmaker. I thought it was Black Widow. Same thing. Widow. Gome nasai. Here we have another Overwatch piece. Same kind of approach. Very, very clean. The bold line throughout the entire figure, and even in the dragon. Not a lot of texture. Very, very well rendered. Even this pinch right here. Damn. Gome nasai. Gome. Here we have another chick. Nice tramp stamp. Oh my god. Nice pose. The hair though, he kind of went crazy with it. Almost impressionistic with the hair. The US of A. Whoa. I like how it makes sense. You do need to do or have reference when painting characters, just because you can't imagine these sort of things. I mean, eventually you can, or you will be able to, but you need to do a lot of figure drawing sessions to be able to get the gist of how the overlapping parts work. Like, how does this knee go behind the butt? Like, the butt is kind of tucking both of her feet, so it's kind of protruding this way. And even seeing these sorts of dips in the flesh, I believe these are her dimples. This is something you have to learn as you go. Or you could just have reference on the side and just copy it as best as you can. Well, not copy it necessarily, but if you find a good pose that kind of fits your current project, you know, have at it. Nice flirty smile. Moving on. Ooh! Damn! Take me in. Gome nasai. Now this one does definitely look like a sticker. There's hardly any background. There is no background for this piece, except for this tag. Notice the line all throughout the figure. Art Nouveau. The rendering of the hand is pretty realistic. It leans towards realism. The style of the face though, it still has that Korean type of proportions. I'm not sure why this part of the breast, like right here, I'm guessing it should have a bit more value. Like, it's a bit too white here. I think there should be some kind of slight darker gradient happening here just a bit, because it's a bit too flat for me in this part. But everything else looks amazing. Even the folds of her uniform, wow. Especially with the buttons. Like, you can tell how tight they are, because they're like grabbing or gripping onto her skin. Gome nasai. She's hot. Here we have a babe with a sword. I'm not sure if this is more of a sci-fi thing. I think so. It looks mechanical in nature. She's kind of like a space pirate to me. Ugh. Look at those knees. And nice feet with heels. I do feel there's a bit of a gouache-like approach. He did have to break the values of the feet a bit. Like, it's not that smooth. Like, they're almost somewhat chunky when rendered. It does get smoother with this part of the leg, the upper thighs, and obviously the armor. The reflected lighting in this part on the background, wow. It does have a bit of that realism. The boobs, they're kind of busty. It's not a bad thing, by the way. The hair, it feels somewhat simplified, like the silhouette. However, the way it's rendered within that silhouette is what kind of makes it more amazing. Bold in line. Now, it's hard to see the thick lines in this part of the leg. You can see it here in the feet and with the heels, in the sword. In this top part of the head, you can see that bold in line, but it does have a color in it. I've seen artists or a lot of comic artists do that, where they don't leave that black line that thick black line in the edge. They will leave it, but they will add a color over that black line. And it usually goes, or the color of that line is similar or in the same family as the thing next to it. So in this case, it does have a bit of that pink purple look. So it does go with the rest of the hair, right? Anyway, so this is the last piece we're going to review or check out, and JinWoo Song's profile, ArtStation profile. Same way of rendering, not a lot of texture, very, very smooth. You can see that bold and line all throughout the figure, the spear, the detail. Almost like a gouache-like approach, in that it's clean. Think of Sid Mead's paintings, illustrations. They're rather clean, not very impressionistic, but it still looks somewhat done by hand. And I do like seeing stuff like this just because I can see the, not mistakes, but the imperfections. It feels like it was done by an artist. The moment you become too tight with it, smooth, there is a time and place, I think, or I guess it depends on your artistic inclinations. But for me, this is amazing. So that's it for this art review of JinWoo Song. I did link his Instagram and Twitter in the description below, so you can follow him there, and obviously follow him on ArtStation if you would like to. So hopefully you learned something, or well, not learned something because I haven't taught you anything, but yeah, check out JinWoo Song's artwork, and I hope you're inspired. Keep drawing, keep painting, keep learning, and stay free.